Hello, I'll put the link in here. I'm going to start teach you guys about C.O.P.P.A, FCC, FTC, how they have identities of the law used remotely. For example, with child offenders through administrations. They say they don't want kids on there, but they have the Harvard, they have intercity school systems and people charged as religious charged, like physical culture of religion, which is already tested out. They have no integrity when it comes to following mandated law. Everyone's just going for titles and positions, and they're, in other words, they're filming kids in schools and putting it on YouTube, but they're telling us not to. The same people recorded involved with since proven, and then further recorded then and now further child sex offender leaders on child offender leaders, including women, not just sex. They have all they have interbranch women judges involved with this, lying to the judges and with them though. The courts, all the positions, dozens of people from my town interbranch and their family members, prosecutors, judges, lawyers, private states attorneys, programs with that from Washington D.C., Pentagon too. World Trade Center. That's tied to what is manifest on off campuses of each age and nature. Further into sciences, per a method explaining how, for example, and why we have one identity of volume as our identity. That is all the identities of our body. So it is one volume, but it is a whole bunch of identities of volume simultaneously. Everything we have sciences, we have opinions that are physical. It's all right for someone to have opinions, but then they want to have a conversation not about what is actually recorded. They just want to use the identity of the ground to know they're lying through kids also with their own interbranch kids, not just their locations are criminally involved, not just the campuses are criminally involved. The investigators of that, the investigations of that, they're the identity of the ground, law, identities of the law are all sick. They can't do an investigation and defend themselves and take what is discernible with everything connected as it is actually connected. So we have them pretending sense and sensibilities. Everyone making convictions about, for example, this is uses of racism to prevent what it really is, which is, in other words, preventing science from speaking for all locations. Because they're keeping, it's got nothing to do with democracy, because these are people involved with identity ground, elections locations, and families associated with the World Trade Center attack location /S. People who worked for the World Trade Center. People on off that location, though, from off these locations, other nations' equivalents. And on off it further, they make the identity defended. You can't defend that and stand correlations nature's means, which is reliefs. So we doesn't have to. They want to keep everyone blaming other things other than themselves and defending that, as everyone was engineered, only capable of doing that by accident, methodically. That's an engineering that goes with and is as the value to the extent it can't go beyond. It can't, we're an identity of negative value nature progression, self-valued modern nations in a semi-ancient trap. Specifically, since before modern religions had to preserve education, they didn't have means to. Thank God they found a means to. What does that mean? Thank God. That means thank what I think is what is actually discernible. In other words, what is actually true always and not denying exceptions, as one identity of truth is, which is 5 bonded identities of truth. For example, as 5 bonded identities of sequence nature. That before the order of the finite, that which is the order to the smaller that on both sides of small, the identity of relationships to itself that small has, that finite has, that finite, the order of the value of the finite has in simultaneously, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, as one identity of volume has to it that was active. So no, these are people that are involved with lying about what is recorded over phones, putting fake transcripts into databases, inter-branch, individually grouped and together. They are crime methods, for example, encompassing more crime methods than that one crime method. They have, for example, they also forge names and switch names. They also use mail crime roles. They also use verbal predicate acts roles. The people from Connecticut interbranch intercampuses of each age and nature and private database relationships simultaneously. Met recorded how kept needing to hide live progressions to all the identity of the ground locations, areas, and states. Per and as defenses of that criminally legalized and so manifest on a mass scale, nations A through Z, styles of premises treatment nature, of sequence treatment nature, of finite, active, and progressive value progression treatment nature, as identity treatment nature. Originally and still, that can't defend that and stand understood what America is about, what each modern nation is about. Our founding parents didn't have free speech. There was this breaching method entrenched inter-database relationships. Then also, for cause to further and further identity of negative value nature progression. Again, used for an identity, used for an engineering of everyone blaming other things, others themselves, as fact treatment nature quality, as criminal and seditious nature, of premises treatment, of sequence treatments, of premises treatments, individually grouped and together, and of identity treatments. And that's where one identity of a volume, the first volume, we'll call this first volume. So in other words, I don't know if I put it in the thing. I don't know if it fit. The whole I put some typing that I just typed because I posted to other YouTube so they could see this video. Because in videos I talk, but when I speak about, in other words, if you go in New Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts, all the courts basically, the other nations are keeping this outcome here and there. They're standing. I'm not a lawyer, but they are as a nature of volume, a criminal seditious nature that was standing used remotely, breaching screens and tools. Now look, they have to say that this is a theory, so they prevent a mandated law, and they keep stacking predicate acts, as identity theft, frauds, racketeering, forging names and switching names. If you go in courts, they're going to make they do things people miss because the phenomenon of how former director of the FBI and his co-defendants in a 2006 case and their family members were involved and are involved with an actually recorded pattern of predicate acts connected, predicate act methods connected, intercampuses of each age and nature in private databases at the same time, and interbranch Facebook page stewards, and intercampuses Facebook page for stewards involved with interbranch family members and intermilitary families involved with identity thefts, frauds, worse than racketeering, sequence shifts, roles with the interbranch drug clicks, roles with untimely deaths, and roles with other natures of organized crime, uses of the untimely death locations on and off campuses like Trinity College. With my new and past neighbors also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated dozens of Wethersfield police, the police chief, retired and standing, associated with my new and past neighbor, with his Dillon family, and with the house next to them, with their extended family members of Phil Collo, further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by a Bob Chase, involved with falsified police reports, and with two Mendez police, also involved with them, attaching me to fake locations and fake ties to them, with their cousin who lives on my street, involved with them predicate acts with child sex offenders' families on and off campus with the principal sex offender, which is connected to this web school and houses next to the web school, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Also with on the other side of that cul-de-sac, another cul-de-sac near there. Now these are on and off churches locations, military police families involved with predicate acts. Now, and wrongdoing with that, and sequence shifts. Now, these are judges, various natures of courts at once, individually grouped and together, recording having been sick predicate act methods and cover-ups of it, and needs to it as victims, but as victim predators. But they won't follow mandated law because their roles with sequence shifts, for example. Say with their roles with evidence reception and how they are trained to it from off those campuses of all ages, natures, statutes. Further on off it. Bonded other methods, motivations, natures, needs by the one that use it remotely, originally, still, effectively. That's what's actually recorded. See, George Washington had to come to this town, Wethersfield, Connecticut, before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. Wethersfield/Hartford. And had to leave slavery entrenched in the North. James Madison's our founding. And this is our founding humanity. And George Washington is our founding species body of value. As an American, for example. As anyone, no matter who you are, where you are, you're not only increasing value as an individual, simultaneously how and the identity of value we are, its identity of relationship to itself. It needs to stay simultaneously everything at once, and will only stay that. So we can't help but be grouped. And that's value positive. When we're in a positive value nature progression, we enjoy that. In other words, we enjoy its interaction grouped. In an identity of negative value nature progression as the value of the human species, we don't enjoy grouped. And we only enjoy, separating from the revelations that only we can connected revelations, tactically separated in some ancient times since before modern religions. Messengers greatly about this. Then and still, like our founders, prevented free speech, prevented means to have preserved understanding of the issues that the ancient republic revealed by the species working together. Because we were working for one shared identity of value progression, the one that causes inventions to work or not in relationship to itself, the one that causes inventions to be further positive or not in relationship to itself, the one that causes evolution's fruits and gifts and means to appear. We are quality of value as fact, treatment, nature, where and how it counts. And that is a simultaneous nature. See, we have sequence shifts, we have finite lies, active lies, progressive lies, identity theft, frauds, and worse than racketeering lies, identity racketeering lies that were forced by a breaching method, database relationships, crazy laws, brings more people to think. Now they have the sensibilities more than that. That's what they have. Standing criminal and seditious nature of positive forced self-valued by everyone, saying to themselves, well, it's not my control. And they just want to, everyone needs to seek positive. So abridged. And see, that was being propagated as the premises treatments, the sequence treatments involved with this. So these are also people on off Central Connecticut State University involved with military families, with the street next to, with the cul-de-sac next to, and the one tied to it. Yeah, and all along that route, involved with the people in this YouTube video with the kids on the campus, and then bringing culture in and pretending that's positive as no, a pseudo positive. Nothing against the girl at all. English was revealed to teach using Allah's name. Doesn't the people? This is a grouped language, but it's also simultaneously only a science about how it's only negative value nature if it's not valuing what is the value of each individual language and grouped and together. The ancients revealed these 26 that and how these 26 identities of sound that the English alphabet are, how they are better than just a living body of value, just like an equation. When any value individually grouped together, when is being valued, where the letters are value / value progression. Why / value progression? Because everything is increasing as value, positive or negative, to the identity of the first volume and its identity of relationship to itself, that is self-generating. So this is what Genesis is about. But Genesis, the beginning of the Old Testament, is about science, and they won't let science have free speech. And so what the messengers knew, for example, what Jesus Christ, the Jesus Christ religions, I call it the Jesus Christ religions, because people are uses of identity, the ground locations, difference between each other, that is fact cheaply nature oriented. And it is relevant where and how, if you asked over the internet or something like that, respond to a particular act. Rape threats. New Britain Superior Court has rape threats. With names forging and switching roles, misspelling roles. They have behavior crimes where they're pretending passions and emotions because they in backgrounds tied to how they prevented writing and prevent writing criminally while they're pretending other into databases further and further. Since I was a kid, they wouldn't give me anything in writing because they were putting they were writing falsified police report. They put a charge after they already made all kinds of, they couldn't explain because they were already involved since I was a kid. Like with a former Mayor Gold is also one of the people involved with the Washington D.C. World Trade Center and intermilitary and on off campuses predicate acts and or wrongdoing roles associated with his role per the people tied to them. I never had a conversation with him, and per confessions also involved with people from Sandy Hook and a Whiting Forensics Institute, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved predicate acts with the principal sex offender before he got caught. People with Sandy Hook, Newtown, also with fire departments, with crimes with the principal sex offenders campus and other campuses, intercities, and all the ones in my town and locations next to them tied. And it's all tied with a pattern that goes all along that route that is at the end of the Webb is touching. That the driveway going into the high school is touching. That's it. There's an Anthony Agman still active on Facebook as one of the ones involved with doctors and him with Facebook through time with them, with the on off campuses, two Mendez police, on off Weathersfield Police Department, predicate acts, fake conversations with me, lying about what is recorded on locations, lying about what is recorded over phones, lying about the past. They were involved with as children. I never had a class with Eric Mendez in my life. I never saw him on the inside of the school building, but one time in life, real quick, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the DeMauro families. Intercities also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a pattern of predicate acts on off Central Connecticut State University, and confessions and demonstration confirmed roles with various natures of courts, their police, their family members, all tied to their intercities, various natures of the same courts too, leading up to and in the World Trade Center attack from Connecticut. This is on off Paul Manafort Drive. Paul Manafort is a name you keep hearing in the news. All the topics in the news have ties. They have Muslim nations associated with the Weathersfield Town Library, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the people here with Webb School. Uses of the sense and sensibilities of, see, they had obligations to timely correct their roles. We have interbranch families just because they're prosecutors and the police chiefs, kids that invested the people, all these people invested roles with the same house / SMI area, involved further with already proven people on the child sex offender registry and their family member, further involved with organized crime uses of the Weathersfield town offices, of military families, of media predicate acts, of a whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated on off all along that route that goes by the state judicial branch office through cities too, all along that route that goes by Webb, and where it goes from Church all along Church Street, and on that house in the corner, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with people involved with organized crime uses of WTNH and of WFSB and of Fox Connecticut News. And they're being coached to just pretend others. In other words, they put them into a zone for the breaching method. Okay, you answer the phones, and we'll tell you to do when people say, "Oh, just say they're making it that you didn't understand. They're making theory." They attach me to fake words. They attach me to fake conversations that weren't at all ever. Wire crime, mail crimes, the roles, media, falsified police reports, human trafficking, attaching little kids and their families to fake words. Then they and fake words about the responses to that too. They're investing people locked into what they exploit each age and nature of camp. These are also people on next to Webb who are involved with Hartford campuses through time with locations on and off them, not legitimately with programs whatever the hell they're doing with other nations, suits and ties, sick fakes, integrity of law identities too. So that they also have recorded, confessed, demonstrated. Dozens of people from Central Connecticut State University, from my town, that I had nothing to do with there. I had no time for them. I mean, I didn't even see them around there. And once a month, they would have next to Willard Hall. They have that involved with the on-off Paul Manafort Drive, and locations next to that's campus too, through time, involved with the ones in my town, interbranch, intermilitary, inter-private, involved with all kinds of foreign and domestic medical organized crime too, acts, role, and methods, actually recorded roles connected to through time. And I've been reporting this since before the World Trade Center attack. They won't let me report details, so they can all that one of the patterns our nations use is pretending people make conspiracy theories, keeping people in other words, there were no honest premise treatments. There are no honest sequence treatments. There is no honest mandated law followed. They're pretending mandated law, they need to hide more and more. They need to counter the corruption of other nations, but they can't. How could they do that when we're corrupt here? Not by accident. All identity of the ground locations have ties to our quality of fact sheet nature. We're in a breaching method trap that is since before modern religions. We don't even have to even agree about it. We're not supposed to agree about the name of what is true always and not denying exceptions as what is, so that, but that's a quality of logic that had been prevented free speech since some ancient times, which is another problem. I'm being extorted in relationship to this too. So I don't know why. So there are two Mendez police, and there are retired and standing resource officers, and a Pandolf family, and that one others along that route and off of it, like that with near the Pandolf family, also next to the high school with like the Yagman family. There are also intercities involved. Now they're also involved with this. No, when I say on off campuses, it was already off campuses. They were involved with all the evil. And further and further, they need to hide life aggressions, how they were used remotely as victim predators. Also, the witness protection program has ties to my area, to my street. And that's also involved with people involved with the houses next to Webb School, involved with them with the intercities types of schools and types of training of them inter-campuses from off campuses further and further being invested. Criminally foreign influence needed to hide live aggressions, needed to hide uses of their standing sensibilities. When someone asks to have demonstrated all that is spoken by the predicate acts, like the fake conversations with fake words recorded attached to me. What these two Mendez police involved with when I was a kid. And again, I never had a class with either of them. So respond for them. These are people on off the Wethersfield Police Department involved with predicate acts. Two Mendez police resource officers involved with the cousins of my. One of them is a Phil Cololo, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also by a Bob Chase, and by a Joshua Julian, confirmed. Also, people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated Joshua Julian involved with wire crimes with them, and with crimes with FBI and with CIA, and with per them, with Coast Guard, and with overt criminal enterprises. Them what they do when these are where they have wire crimes, mail crimes, evidence crimes, they attach people to fake words. They're pretending people have conspiracy theories in relationship to those acts. They're keeping each identity of the job. Well, it involves judge or it involves FBI. I don't know, because then they get scared and they don't know what to do. So time is being used to extort people. Then where you go, they're going to need to hide that. They're going to need to keep people, you know, they think they're cool. We have this why we was all they also this is manifest. They use people like they use like creepy little people because we have courts recorded needing to lie about and having lied about all locations, areas, and states, and the value of each person because they were lied to about the value of each person, each location, area, state. They are breaching screens, tools, and worse than weapons. Each modern nation's identity of the law. And each person's opinion. So what we need to do is use what is true always, not denying exceptions. But this science has prevented free speech originally and still. This uses sequence true, the order of the finite, the value of the order, the value of the sequence true, the value of the order of the finite, the value of the order of what is active, the value of the order of what is progressive, as the nature of volume, as the quality of diffusion we are, and the value of our identities, our complete identity, semi-nature relationship to the complete identity that we are positive or negative when it is, as a positive or negative is system. Like no matter who we are, we want clean water, food, nice. Nature, not denatured. But that's simultaneously other is motivated in because this is identity of the ground, tactically natured, not just for that, primarily for everyone to blame other things, others themselves, for when nature causes demonstration of its loss of its campuses system as revealed manifest by its republic revealed manifest by humanity working with this one identity of value progression they witnessed as an identity of relationship to itself that is the cause to positive that is understanding it and valuing it. See, this is why we have value systems relevant to our fact treatment nature, again contained, not one has trained. So that can't be the correlation has means right there to protract. And what comes in the way of that, you meet businesses abridged. You meet the Constitution abridged. Victims, but you meet them as victim predator premises treatment, sequence treatments, identity treatments, and that would be right. Go right through that reliefs if we have mandated law followed. See, but we have my town's police chief and a whole bunch of police involved with them since they were kids, involved with agencies that were used remotely with every identity of the ground location. And then further and further through the sciences, each science abridged tactically, no one's watching. It's attached to the surface values of the Constitution, abridged. And that those are values by nature of volume simultaneous. The identity is simultaneous to what is positive and negative. It is possession of both. So the important thing is to get them to stop torturing me and trying to discredit me with people faking conversations with me because they're doctors. They have fake conversations with me, forged names. I'm legitimately recorded more capable of logic than them in the various natures of courts involved with the many natures of predicate acts with this Leahy family and with the people tied to them like these two Mendez police and this Yagman family. We're involved with campuses, with houses next to schools, involved with identity thefts. Also, the Yagman family and the Mendez police are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. I never saw the Yagman and the Mendez together at the same time, but they recorded, confessed, demonstrated their roles with them attaching me to fake locations, with them fake ties to themselves, fake words, their roles with falsified police reports through time, and with human trafficking acts of WFSB and Fox Connecticut News. Now, the Mendez police are also intercities involved with on-off Fox Connecticut News in downtown Hartford, and they're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with involved with and houses on off Two Rod Highway, as with this Phil Cololo, and who was the cousin of the house next to me, involved with the sex offenders family with untimely deaths on off Trinity College connected, and all these confessions intercities connected to the pattern of me trying to just report what people asked help to report since before the World Trade Center attack, because Hartford and New Britain Superior Court and Middletown courts were involved with predicate acts on and off Central Connecticut State University, on and off child campuses, intercities, and on and off prisons associated with each age of fact treatment nature, on and off all natures of campuses, fire departments, EMS, medical campuses. Simultaneously, they have overt criminal enterprises. They have plural. Now, I'm not going to name them because those names they this is in a method where they got people to blame the real causes of predicate acts and criminal seditious natures, wrongdoing, wrongdoers, on other blamed it on other things. You have people engineered only capable of blaming other things, others themselves for the real causes of such, even when correctly blaming it. Like, in other words, for time and positions. But they took the Native Americans from their possession of the campuses system, from their possession of the republic, which is humanity's possession, which is the species nature of volumes. We are humanity, we are a species, body of value as nature, so distinctly from nature as value and value as nature simultaneously. And we'll examine how this is increasing. So I digress, but I tell it best. So there are the people leading the schools in Wethersfield, on and off the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices in Wethersfield also, on and off the state prison offices, which is half Wethersfield, half Hartford, and all along those routes, and one's peripheral, perpendicular to them that are relevant, like where George Washington had to come right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, even with the French general's help, and still leave entrenched between New York and Boston, and in the north, slavery. Per the same method that is north and south already entrenched then, so sickly distinctly, so it would be self-valued effectively per breaching method, how sickly non-distinctly is not discerned, even though it's right there recorded, actually recorded. See, we have what is other than actual taken to convictions, taken to the value of convictions. So we have judges that also acted with prosecutors and state's attorneys to pretend things where they didn't realize their predicate acts roles, their wrongdoing roles, their identity organized crime roles. Criminally foreign influence, as natures with criminally foreign influence premises treatments, also delusions, raw sequence treatments. We have these are people lying and have been lying about behavior. If you say that, they'll say, "Oh, well, then that's why we got mad." You say that about us, we're going to say something. They're playing a little baby game where they're controlling the courts, where they're controlling the police, but you can't speak. They don't let you speak because then they just write you to everything. No one's checking. So Trantolo and Trantolo. This is also various natures of courts and all kinds of uses of elderly homes that are simultaneously effectively having kept the sensibilities of the judges, their family members, all the people that work for their courts and their family members in collusion with the child abuses on off campuses, with the criminally foreign influence database relationships, uses of whatever they have with the Wethersfield Police Department. I mean, with the Wethersfield Library, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with Muslim nations involved with Central Connecticut State University with military police families, and with a Heather Hansen and a DeMauro family, and with a Rick C.M. Faglione, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with database crimes that Neville is involved with, knowingly or not, and or whatever extent he understands it to, with them with mail crimes. In other words, that they did to keep them needing to hide lies with investigations that already came, as the people involved with the World Trade Center leading up to it and since criminally, as the ones further involved with child sex offenders campus on and off campuses with proven with other natures of organized crime uses of them then, and with the interbranch family members' roles with it then and now further. Now they have roles with private industries and identity ground locations along streets, roads, routes, highways, corners, like the corner with the Exxon. There's an Altamoda on the hill across the street from it, and that Mazzucato Bakery that's brand new in Rocky Hill there. For years, they're involved with people with that corner, with predicate acts with them, with identity thefts, frauds, worse than racketeering. Sequence shifts roles with them. Like my neighbor who worked at that Exxon, the one with the Phil Cololo cousin, and a whole bunch of people tied to a forensics locations and to body dumping spots, overtly criminal and the legal ones. All roles also with federal crimes with the co-defendants of former director of the F.B.I, Robert Luskin, and with himself, preventing mandated law and roles with what led up to the World Trade Center attack criminally. Roles with what went down actually. So there are people further involved with the predicate acts on off Central Connecticut State University that are intercities tied, West Hartford, East Hartford. And now, see, they have all these. They have insurance guys who are having trying to investigate everyone. They have everyone victim predators speaking through other people to come with someone respond for them. Pick. So WFSB has also recorded uses of their cameras and uses of their stories to cover up lie progressions through kids tied to abuses of each age of fact should be nature simultaneously. Don't forget that. You think they have elderly homes, they have little boxes. Oh, but that's the infrastructure of the building that's presented. So this is our legal, this is what they told us to do. Now, and this is when the food comes out, and this sustained. Not one has trained. At least, not one person has spoke about slavery honestly. And so if someone tries to speak about it honestly, it's not the interbranch identities of the law that are black and white. They counter this evil by being it, by valuing roles, by a breaching method that made them value fake sides because they valued physical delusions when they think about what racism is. They need people blaming things like racism because everyone's simultaneously defending naive premises treatments, naive finite treatments, active treatments, identity treatments. Where no one's using the identity of volume the way it's supposed to be used. Individual grouped together. Why? So by being, so we'll come back. So I don't know if the link is in there. I'll come back, make sure the link is there. So FCC, FTC, Federal Trade Commission, Federal Communications Commission, or whatever it stands for. There are further interbranch Facebook pages and inter-campuses Facebook pages that are involved with people with a series of connected organized crime acts and roles with the illusions, identity thefts. Actually, I call it identity thefts and frauds. There's a pattern of people from my who went to my schools. I don't know if they pretended me and themselves into the database, but in fake what's in databases is lies. They have people from private schools next to the public schools that are also involved with the interbranch families through ties through time, actually as they were actually recorded in collusion with overt criminal enterprises and spreading lies through people, like with Allison Mulcahy. I believe that's her last name. I never had and her, I don't know her sister's name. I never had a class where I never was around them. I only know their name because John Mayano and Mike Demain repeated it. I don't know him. I only know him from him repeating things like that. And he also repeated about how he's Jewish. And he has roles with the people involved with the sex offenders. The cousin of the sex offender used to always say, "Oh, Jew." And he would say things like what people will call prejudice or racism. But it's his roles with judges in the Delaferra family and their roles with human trafficking, falsified police reports, sequence shifts, attaching people to fake locations, their family members, fake words, and uses of that. Now, these are people that that have roles with connections between Trinity College and CCSU, with policing of shopping locations, all along routes, all along South Steen Highway, all along this route that goes from where on Church Street and then all along Main Street that goes all the way from there, right by the high schools, the road that goes by the into the high school side of the high school, right straight, right by this web school involved with them. These are people involved with foreign and domestic Muslim nations and military police that pretend prejudice against them, but they're involved with the predicate acts with them. And they're the ones involved with on off church locations and the uses of sense and sensibilities of people who who won't help anyone who's trying to respond who needs to counter where they're forging names and switching names and telling everyone to pretend we're making conspiracy theories and say they don't understand. Of course they're not going to understand. Pick one name in sequence. They understand that. They understand that. Now hurry up and get me a response for the rest of the people involved intercities with this because they're forging names and switching names. They have a guy that with FBI and CIA involved with Central Connecticut State University with Trinity College predicate acts against me, forging names and switching names with deans and with an officer who says his name is Darth Vader, recorded involved with sexual abuses of college students on off campuses and of the child offenders. And these people pretending to be against such. Now, these are also people with a pattern with the library, also as the ones involved with the predicate acts roles, uses of Wethersfield Library through time and of Muslim nations. People from Trinity College and people from Wethersfield, Connecticut are recorded involved with a Heather Hansen, with a Joe DeMoro, and with an Aiello family. Also with fire departments like the one next to Trinity College, and they're involved with predicate acts and the people with the untimely deaths, uses of it for other natures of organized crime. With untimely death on off Trinity College, and their roles with the election spots criminally. Identity thefts. I never had a class with Joello in my life. I never had a class with his sister in my life. The only context I know of him in are contexts that were with this pattern of strangers who sought me out to make confessions and demonstrations and be weird and then lock themselves. They can't talk about reality. And these are people attaching me to sequence shifts. See, they follow the sequence shifts. It shows you how much they've been faking. This shows you interbranch family members have been attaching people to fake words and fake conversations, fake locations verbally. They're pretending, like, for example, I saw on television on Martin, which is just a comedy, a nice comedy. I like one of my favorite, probably my favorite sitcom. One of my favorite. Well, I don't want to see. Well, yeah. But what was the point? The point. So there was like some kind of a thing, a fake dead rat. And in the movie, I think it's the big guy who no one knows what he does for a living. I think his name is Cole. I don't know if that's the other guy. But so Martin knew that he doesn't like rats. So first he made him put the rat traps out to put in his mind that the rat was there. And then he put the fake rat behind him. So I'm saying not just like that, but no, these are like things that like military and police learn, but then they're using it against. But in other words, they learn it because they're getting by an archetypal organized crime method that was entrenched here since before our founding parents' birth. It already had nations individually grouped and together gripped. They could not defend their identities and afford one body of correlation nature with free speech and truth. Using what is sequence true, the order, the value of the order are actually inherent, active, and progressive means. One way redeems to make Native America, to make America great again. We have to make America native. We have to make Iran great again from some ancient trap. We have to make Iraq great again from some ancient trap. Everyone blamed other things other than themselves. Now already, and then that was defended by for what we have to keep reacting to as fact sheet nature. But each location, area, and state has not one standing identity of law that wasn't child abuse, only her identities of law with physical delusions, with identity racketeering or whatever. Worse than racketeering, identity, organized crime, self-value, roles, self-value. Now, that's simultaneously with the physical delusions. They're preventing writing because they can't. There's just mass dishonesty, and they're pretending other and having pretended other. How they were backed into justifying that. That woman, they're gonna put her. She has to risk. God forbid, she has to risk going to jail for 45 years because she I mean, I don't know what they're talking about. In other words, because she's trying to pay, she paid all this extra money for her kids to go to school. Those schools are unequally into the maintenance of criminally foreign influence into branch originally still uses of them. Those family members, in other words, we have people involved with Russia. They're countering Russia, trying to keep peace with Russia. And they know that in the background when they bring up Russia. Not just with the network's news, then they take comedy positions, treatments of positive, treatments of theater, with what they claim is theater. The sequence shifts reveal a nature of theater that is criminal, racist nature, self-value, and used remotely that way. Each identity, ground location, each identity of it, each difference of it. So it is really then if you try to those they want other people's voices heard. I don't owe, in other words, They have this Muslim woman with an offensive position with this Mr. Emmitt, who's also involved with the educational department, other departments at Central Connecticut State University. Thank God confessed, recorded, and demonstrated, having been coached to influenced to predicate acts roles, predicate act cover-up roles, wrongdoing, sequence shifts, whatever, identity theft, frauds, racketeering roles. Everyone's speaking to other criminally because these are courts that use them criminally. These are police forms that use them criminally, and foreign and domestic military. Let's make Kuwait better again. We have to make everyone better again at the same time. See what we're trained for all this and the proxies what I learned the first time I learned that word proxy was from in relationship to Adam Lanza. Now these are also people with the predicate acts, with the child sex offenders, people on the registry that are further on rolls with that on off the Wethersfield town offices, on off the campuses further, with the principal sex offenders and the ones tied to it, like this web school, like the high school, like the middle school, like other child campuses in town, houses next to them. Now, see, this is where everyone's being told has been coached. We have the interbranch families already criminally used each identity ground location where it counts, where we are fact treatment nature, where we are sequence treatment nature, where we are premises treatment nature, where we are identity, where we are identity treatment nature as a quality of diffusion. Positive or negative as temporary positive, you know, criminal ceaseless nature demonstrates positive can be negative as simultaneously. We are only automatically temporary positive. But temporary positive is also increasingly valued as positive or negative, as a quality of diffusion, as more identity of volume of the identity of forever, making more of itself. See, now I'll bring in theory so I could show you what they think have for theory is physical delusions wrong. And where they evaluate the substance of things is reliant upon the names of experts that are recorded and involved with identity theft, sequence shifts, physical delusions. So respond for the dozens and dozens of people with each branch of government together. So hundreds of people. And then people tied to them. So thousands of people involved with Connecticut leading up to and in the World Trade Center attack. And that doesn't mean I had conversations with them. You watch what they did and do. This is many ways tied to Washington, D.C. and to Pentagon, to Congress. Now tied to the confessions also of the O'Brien family when I was in grammar school about their roles with Congress in overt criminal enterprises demonstrated, confessed, confirmed. I confirmed roles with it, uses of it through time also with houses at the end of with people associated with both sides, both corners of the principal sex offender school. Now there's a John Mayano and our people with the Obama administration associated with him, who and my town's police chief and prosecutors associated with predicate acts, who also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that people associated with John Laurie. I never met him. I never even saw him. I don't even know who he is. But it's supposed to be around the corner of the people associated with the corners of that street, Highcrest Street, which runs into Hangdog Lane, though. And these are people involved with a whole bunch of natures of organized crime acts and natures of crime associated with the with Two Rod Highway and houses on off of it, who sought me out for confessions with that. that after my grade graduated. And so, in other words, I never my neighbor hung around what was in my grade with my age of good classes, and his cousin reportedly was, but I never saw him on the inside of Weathersfield High School one time in life. I never saw Eric Mendez on the inside of Weathersfield High School one time in my life. Any grammar school one time in my life. I saw him one time in middle school. Now that's also it was in a Mr. Potter's class, who's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also involved with the DeMoro family, with Weathersfield Police, with police forms associated also with my neighbors, with like police for state police, foreign and domestic, military, and overt criminal enterprise, and the witness protection programs on my other side of my house, tired. And the witness protection program stewards roles with the wire crime, mail crimes, and with the people. These are the same ones involved with predicate acts that are fact, treatment, nature oriented, and tied to as the roles with the people with the body dumping spot of a serial killer reported. Now that person is also one of the ones recorded involved with judges and prosecutors and forensics families and people tied to them, state police, Weathersfield police, military police, all associated with the same house with their extended family members, crimes with the people on the child sex offender registry, with the libraries, with Trinity College and CCSU, even though they didn't go there. I don't know if they went there. Now, so they had someone yelling out, "I'm going to buy your father a casket," or something like that too, at Trinity College. And I told no one my father was in the hospital at that time. So these are people that know where you're going to show up. They know where if you're going to, which kid's going to go there. These are kids, these are some bad people where it counts, and that was exploited already, who have their kids used to hide their life progressions. Already, this is vertical and horizontal breaching method. This is preemptively and while coming down, needed to hide life progressions because they've already built them incapable of defending themselves and of standing, of being able to stand. Correlation nature with its simultaneously inherent active means it was with the sequence true. I tell you too. So please, Layla, Sister Layla, don't let me down. That's why I don't want to make it may have a problem. It's all right. People have their different takes on religion and stuff like that. See, but when they bring physical delusions, when they have people making opinions and then making opinions about making opinions with physical delusions, and then preventing the demonstrations of it. So I don't know you, Sister Layla, but these are other. There are military police associated with this Emmitt guy, and there are people with the FCC and FTC involved with on-off Central Connecticut State University and on-off Trinity College involved with predicate acts with them, and with my town's interbranch family members, and on-off the state judicial branch office through time. And see, this reveals them what they've been doing and how they're actually recorded, and it is real sick. So they've been telling everyone to you know, say they don't understand people, and to pretend people are making conspiracy theories. There is a Trantolo in Trantolo who is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a crime method with elderly and with child sex offenders and with WFSB with CNN, where they Mr. Trantolo, all you have to do is follow mandated laws, nothing personal. You recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that you make conspiracy theories and that you're involved with wire crimes and mail crimes that WFSB was involved with you. since before that. Attached me to fake words, fake locations, fake ties to other people. They did this with little kids. Even fake ties to doctors and to mental diagnosis through time. There's also a woman at Central Connecticut State University, Trinity College, involved with predicate acts, who needs to pretend that I confirmed that Joe DeMoro. One time, they knew I was going to walk. I never sat with Joe DeMoro at lunch at all. One time, he knew I was going to walk by there, and so they had some girl that is involved with him, with two Carone brothers, two Kerr brothers, and Erica Donahue and other girls I don't know the names of, who live around Millwoods Park, who recorded, confessed, and demonstrated what is increasingly, I never had a verbal conversation with, Erica Donahue in my life. Joe DeMoro, Heather Hansen, and Mike Kerr. They were like in a sexual circle. And they had that involved also with the other person sued me who lived around there too, lived around the Crone brothers. But these are also people who recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with predicate acts on and off Central Connecticut State University, and with people with predicate acts on and off Trinity College, that are intercities college. Those are Trinity's a city over in Hartford. Central Connecticut State University is 2 cities over. These are also people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with organized crime acts all along that route, and identity theft, fraud, sequence shifts all along that route, through towns, through Newington, and then on off Central Connecticut State University, Paul Manafort Drive, where they have response time in relationship to if someone parks there and then tries to go to class. So they'll tow them real fast so the businesses don't lose business. But that response time is also involved with them with more World Trade Center predicate acts and slash illusions, sequence shifts, roles, inside and outside of Wethersfield, tied intercities, intercourts. Connecticut courts were involved with predicate acts and predicate act methods and uses of them. There's a I don't know how to spell his name. Somebody Bugerio. I never had a conversation with him. Like, we had brief interactions, but never like a conversation. They were making confessions. And this was with the lie progressions tied from the confessions made by who I never had classes with, to O'Brien brothers, police families associated also now with like lobbyists, people involved with Congress criminally when I was a kid, involved with overt criminal enterprises, with the child campuses, that are also involved with Joshua Julian, who is also spreading lies with the same overt criminal enterprises associated with his friends, recorded involved with predicate acts with them, and with the witness protection program stewards associated with the same criminal enterprises that they're involved with predicate acts and or wrongdoing roles and such, with uses of untimely deaths, with the investigators involved with that criminally. They lie about what is actually recorded online. They lie about what is actually recorded over the phones, over the mail, on their locations. That's why they don't have recorded. They don't allow recording in courts. They've been pretending things too long. They have to keep it that way. They have to hide their lie progression. They've been doing that with the Wethersfield Police Department, not just with the Wethersfield Police Chief and all the retired and standing ones, forging names, switching names roles, but other police forms. There's also a Scalora family recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with identity thefts, frauds, and worse, in sequence shifts and falsified police support roles with the child sex offenders, criminally involved families. as the one with the Phil Cololo, further involved with them, with forensic spots, and with people with the transition from ACA to RICO, with those same people, with those same people with families involved also with forensics locations, and with the body dumping spots that are now involved through time with the same recorded, bonded, organized crime and abuses of each age of fact should be nature simultaneously. No. So respond for their uses of use Sister Layla and of the kids they have filmed and their uses of such. Anything they learn, true or fake, they attach lies to it. It's very bad. So respond for them, because we have some coward branches of government that won't respond for themselves. They can't. They have this Justin Klavinskis also recorded confess. I don't know his Lucinda. She's also recorded confess and demonstrated involved with kids, with the schools and with them. And regardless, they have with prosecutors with their own kids involved further with the organized crime acts and uses of the kids, and with the Leahy family, with prosecutors and judges of various natures of courts involved with predicate acts with them, forging names, switching names, fake conversations with me, whole detailed fake conversations with me. They weren't at all. Never had a conversation with anyone about filming my father being filmed by police equipment. Now, so these are people also involved with the Joshua Julian, with predicate acts and criminal uses of depositions, and his roles with interbranch Facebook pages and with medical Facebook pages involved with crimes with their patients and criminals, not off campuses before they got caught. Sister Layla, please respond for them, forging names and switching names. You know, get them to one name and sequence into branch and into campuses. I'm not going to leave out what they're doing and did. Get them down. I'll gather around. Vaccines.